Good morning. We all over the world are very happy and are quite boastful about our health. The life expectancy is increasing, more and more medical breakthroughs, and seemingly incurable diseases are on the verge of being cured. The stem cell therapy, the genetic manipulation holds hope. But is it really a progress? When I look at the status of the mental health, I'm amazed. And the mental health has two major issues. One is a sense of isolation, loneliness, and deprivation. A person devoid of the social contacts lives into a well of despondency, sadness, leading to extreme isolation and cut off from the humanity. As I say, one is lonely even in a crowd. But all the more shocking is the new disorder that is becoming endemic and almost international in character. And that is a sense of paranoia. I'm saying recently, in the last couple of days, I came across, in the newspapers of course, absolutely increasing evidence of paranoia. There were two Sikh gentlemen traveling by air in the United States, and they were talking to each other in Punjabi. Now, the very fact that they were wearing turbans and they were talking in a language which is not understood by the Americans sent a ripple of fear, a ripple of a certain terror within the minds of the people around them. And most of them assumed that they were terrorists, possibly discussing their next terror attack in Arabic or in a code language. The crew was called, they were put in restraints, taken off the flight, and punished. Later on they were released. Well, people might argue that they were wearing turbans the way the Taliban do, Al-Qaeda do, and they had a mark of terrorist activity. People might argue that they were dressed differently. People also might argue that they were talking in a language which is not understood, and that can cause rise to apprehensions. Fair. But isn't it a sign of paranoia and mental disease and fear? And the other example is still all the more shocking. A professor of Pennsylvania University, Guido Menzio, was to go and deliver a talk. He was sitting in the aircraft and working on a differential equation. Now, when he was writing while flying and working on his laptop, the passenger sitting next to him got suspicious. Well, he was putting some marks, sigmas and the marks of mathematical equations. And this guy thought, this co-passenger thought, that he is a terrorist and is entering codes. Code for exploding a bomb, possibly. He called the crew members and immediately the professor was escorted out of the aeroplane. He explained to them that he is a professor and he was working on differential equations because he has to give it go and give it talk. It took at least 2 hours to satisfy the curiosity of FBI and Homeland Security, and the professor was let go, but not before he went through the hassle of answering unwanted, torturous questions. Now, I believe it's better to be safe than to be sorry. I may not be as much bothered about the trouble caused to those two sick gentlemen or to Professor Guido. I'm more concerned with the people who complained. Why are people becoming so paranoid? And paranoia, when it exceeds certain limit, is a major mental health issue. And when paranoia is at a national state, at a national level, so endemic, so widespread, it's almost an epidemic. And it's not only in USA, it's all over the world. And the paranoia is increasing. Have we ever thought why? Have we ever tried to identify the reasons for this increasing paranoid reaction of the people to even seemingly innocent work? No. The fault mostly lies with the government, because government has not been able to take remedial steps to remove the threat of terrorism, and the whole existence of the world has become almost existentialist. We live from second to second. The fear of the unknown. And anything which is strange, anything which is not known to us, causes us to freeze. Freeze the mental faculties. Freeze the cognitive process. Freeze the reaction. And the only reaction is, we have to protect ourselves, and this guy, strange as he is, using a language we don't understand, dressed the way we don't like or we are not aware of, and making symbols which are beyond our ken of understanding, makes us feel in a state of danger, and naturally the reaction is like a cornered dog to strike back. They say a snake never bites you unless you are afraid. Because when you are afraid, you send out from your body certain pheromones, certain smells, certain fragrances that make the snake strike at you. And he is striking at you because he is afraid of you. Now here the other guy is quite innocent, he is not striking at you and is not likely to strike at you. Quite possible at times there might be a danger. But that danger so potent that even innocent people should be suffering? Why is it that say if I'm traveling and I find a co-passenger working on his laptop with some signs and symbols which I don't understand, I wouldn't be worried, A, because the satellites are monitoring all the laptops. And even if I'm worrying, at the most if I'm very curious, I can ask him what it is instead of complaining. And then look at the crew. The only thing they can do is to put the guy out of the aeroplane and hands off the law and order authorities. And the law and order authorities take 2 hours. So this chain of events only shows that we are going falling into the abyss of infernal fear. I've always said that fear is the black godmother of all damnable things. And when those damnable things include the person who is afraid of being are becoming a lunatic, an eccentric, a crazy person, then there's definitely time to think. What should be done? Should the society as a whole live in a state of perpetual paranoia, perpetual fear? No, definitely not, because that would be a disaster. Should the people who are different be put in a quarantine simply because they dress differently and talk in a different language? That would be inhuman. Should the people who are intellectuals not be allowed to pursue their vocations and their disciplines and their work? That will be putting a brake on all the progress. So what's the way out? The way out is simple. A. The government and the law and order authorities must ensure intelligence in themselves. I mean, any sensible person could have a look at the equation he was doing and who could have thought that these mathematical formulas are not codes. Codes are always apparently very simple in nature and not complex. They are so simple in nature that they can be deceptive. And if in case the thing is complex, a simple look at it can verify the fact that this is some mathematical formula and not a code for exploding a bomb. Secondly, if people are walking, there needs to be created an awareness of the different things. I remember I wrote a series of articles, 26 articles for the Misaga News, Know Thy Neighbor, in which I identified the basic characteristics of the culture, the food, the behavior, everything in those articles so that people are aware of what the communities are. Now, when the world has become a global village, just setting up the resettlement agencies doesn't meet the ends. People, the other societies, the strangers, the newcomers who belong to a different social order, who dress differently, have to explain to the people, well, look here, we are not different. We are like you. Maybe we dress differently. Maybe we talk in a different language. Maybe we eat in a different manner. But we are as good or as bad human beings as you are. This awareness has to come from the party which is persecuted, or which is likely to face the persecution as a result of being different. But here is the other way around. We expect the original residents to understand who the others are without trying to explain to them the difference. We assume that it is self-evident that since we have come and we are known in our part of the world, here the people will also be knowing us. It's not like that. The introduction has to come from you. And secondly, people have to understand that difference does not mean anything. Well, you know what Shylock said in the famous play, Merchant of Venice. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? Meaning that human beings have the same natural reactions, in spite of their difference in religion, difference in dress, difference in language. And most important is that you have to accept that in the global village, the world in which we are living, it is normal for us to face these issues. And especially in this age, when there is a clash of civilizations, you see, whatever the political correct people might say, that, well, it is a few misguided people who are doing so. No, it's not. It is, in fact, a clash of civilizations, the civilization of progress and the culture of backwardness. Whether it's minority or majority is immaterial. But the clash is there. And here, it's incumbent on both sides to try to comprehend things without getting psychologically deranged. The situation as it is today calls for introspection, calls for awareness, calls for a positive action. Otherwise, the national paranoia would envelop the whole society, and the whole society would become paranoid. And that is a sure way to hell, to perdition, to an everlasting inferno. Think. Think before you are beyond the point of salvation. Think before you have reached the point of no return. Then there will be no hope of survival, of humanity, of intellect, of ability to think, of being reasonable, of being a Homo sapien. Thank you.